Have you ever gotten a text, looked at the name, and just put your phone face down and walked away? No big drama, no guilt, no anxiety, just nothing. So what is going on there? Let's get into the psychology of why some of us just cut everyone off.
This right here, this is the feeling at the very heart of what we're talking about. That strange, quiet sense of peace that comes from creating distance. It's a really powerful and honestly a super misunderstood experience, but it's way more common than you'd think. For some people, skipping that family thing or letting an old friendship fade, it actually brings a genuine sense of relief.
And if this sounds like you, the world has probably handed you a few labels, right? Cold, distant, difficult. Maybe you've even worried that you're just broken somehow. But what if those labels are missing the point completely? What if this isn't a sign that you're broken, but a sign that you're actually and brilliantly protecting yourself?
So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll reframe this impulse as being protective. Then we'll look at the actual logic of your nervous system and figure out where this whole pattern even begins. We'll ask a really crucial question. Are you building a wall or a boundary? After that, we'll uncover a kind of hidden superpower. And finally, we'll land on what the real goal is here, focusing on quality over quantity.
Okay, so let's start with the biggest idea we need to get straight. When someone consistently cuts people off, what everyone tends to think is that something inside them is flawed or wrong. But the truth is often much, much simpler. It's a protective mechanism that's working exactly the way it learned to.
And this protective instinct isn't just some personality quirk. It's literally wired into our biology. It is not a flaw in your character, it's a function of your nervous system. Think of it this way. It's a feature, not a bug, and it's doing precisely what it was trained to do.
The science behind this is so fascinating. There's a neuroscientist, Dr. Stephen Porges, who developed what's known as the polyvagal theory. Basically, it suggests that your nervous system has three primary gears that it shifts between to navigate the world around you. And these are the three gears. You've got your first gear, that's your safe, social state for connection. Then you've got gear 2, fight or flight, when you sense danger. And then there's the third gear, shutdown. Now this isn't your system breaking down, it's a deliberate protection mode. Your brain activates it when it does a quick calculation and decides that being social is costing you more energy than you're getting back. And that feeling of relief you get, that's your system shifting into a protective, energy-saving shutdown.
So where does this wiring even come from? I mean, how does our nervous system learn to make shutdown its go-to move? Well, this pattern usually starts way earlier than we realize, and it's often from something a lot quieter and more consistent than just one big traumatic event.
A psychologist named Murray Bowen actually identified this pattern, and he called it emotional cutoff. He found that when people grow up in environments where closeness is constantly tangled up with unpredictability or pain, they learn to manage that pain by, you guessed it, creating distance.
It all starts back in childhood. An unpredictable home, maybe love that felt like it had strings attached. It all teaches a child a very simple, unconscious rule. Connection is risky, distance is safe. Now you fast forward 20 years, and that little rule has become a powerful automatic reflex. The second a relationship starts to feel too heavy or asks for too much, that old programming just kicks right in.
And this leads us to a really crucial question for anyone who relates to this. Is your reflex building a protective boundary, or is it building an isolating wall? Because understanding that difference is absolutely key to knowing yourself better.
Okay, here's the difference, and it's a big one. A wall is a reaction to proximity. Any kind of real closeness feels threatening, and the relief you feel comes simply from getting distance. A boundary, on the other hand, is a reaction to specific patterns. You notice a repeated draining behavior from someone, and the relief comes from putting a stop to that specific thing. See the difference? One is selective and healthy, the other can become really isolating.
So, which one of those feels more true for you? Just think about the last time you cut someone off or created a lot of distance. Did the relief come from stopping a specific thing they were doing over and over again? Or did it come just from the simple fact that they were getting a little too close for comfort? The answer to that tells you a whole lot.
All right, now for the really fun part. Because all this wiring, it doesn't just make you protective, it often comes with a pretty surprising upside. A kind of unexpected superpower that honestly, most people just don't have.
And look, there is compelling research to back this up. A 2023 study in Nature Neuroscience found that people who went through early emotional stress have way more activity in the brain's threat detection centers. On top of that, research from the University of Iowa shows they actually process social information faster. You see the little inconsistencies sooner. You spot negative patterns that other people completely miss. To put it another way, your brain has literally been refined by your life experiences into this incredibly precise social instrument. You can read a room, you can sense a mood, you can detect a hidden agenda with amazing speed. The only problem? Well, sometimes that instrument has its sensitivity dial turned up just a little too high, and it starts flagging genuine connection as a potential threat.
So this brings us to the real goal in all of this. It's not about becoming a hermit and achieving total isolation. It's about finding the right connection. The focus should always be on quality, not quantity.
And it is so important to understand this difference. Loneliness and solitude are not the same thing, not even close. Loneliness is a painful feeling of lacking connection. Solitude is a choice. It's choosing to be quiet, to restore your energy, to process your thoughts. For a lot of us, solitude isn't suffering, it's restoration.
But let's be real, prolonged total isolation does come with risks. The CDC actually links it to a 29% increased risk of heart disease. So the takeaway here is definitely not to aim for zero connection.
Which brings us to what might be the ultimate cheat code for a healthy life. Harvard did this landmark 75-year study on happiness, and they found that the single strongest predictor of a long, happy life wasn't wealth, it wasn't fame, it was the quality of your close relationships. Not how many friends you have, but the strength of those few bonds. A small circle of the right people, that's the formula.
So if you've been carrying around all this guilt for the distance you've created, maybe it's time to put it down. Your nervous system learned very specific lessons to protect you. Some of those lessons are probably still protecting you today. But others might just be keeping the right people out. Knowing the difference between the two, well, that is the real work.